Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a lady named Madame Rice. She cooked rice to sell at the busy market. Many people in the village loved her rice and bought it every day. But Madame Rice had a secret. She used dirty water to cook the rice. She would never let her own children eat this rice. She cooked nice, clean rice for them at home. She thought no one would find out. One Sunday morning, a little boy named Tom went to the market. He liked to watch people cook and sell food. As he was walking by Madame Rice's stall, he saw something strange. Madame Rice was pouring dirty water into the rice pot. Tom's eyes grew wide. He knew this was not right. Tom ran as fast as he could to the village king's house. He was out of breath when he got there. The king saw Tom and asked, "What's wrong, little one?" Please subscribe to the channel for more captivating and interactive African reality stories. Tom pointed back to the market and said, "Madame Rice uses dirty water." In her rice, the king's face grew serious. He called his guards and they all went to Madame Rice's stall. When they got there, the king saw the dirty water. He looked at Madame Rice and said, "Why do you use dirty water to cook rice for the village?" Madame Rice's face turned red. She did not know what to say. The king told the guards, "Take her to the palace. We need to talk about this." The villagers gathered around, whispering to each other. Everyone was shocked. What would happen next? Please drop your comment on what you think about the king's judgment. At the palace, the king sat on his big golden throne. The guards brought Madame Rice in. She looked down at her feet, feeling ashamed. The king spoke in a calm but firm voice, "Madame Rice, why did you use dirty water to cook rice for the village?" Madame Rice's eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to save money," she said. "Clean water costs more, and I wanted to make more profit. I never thought it would hurt anyone." The king frowned. "But you knew it was wrong. You wouldn't even let your own children eat the rice. The villagers trusted you. You have broken that trust." The villagers, including little Tom, were gathered outside the palace. They waited to hear what would happen. The king turned to them and said, "What do you think we should do?" An old woman stepped forward. She had bought rice from Madame Rice every day. "We need clean food. Our children need to be safe," she said. A young man spoke up next. Madame Rice should clean the village well for her mistake, he suggested. The king nodded. "Madame Rice, you will clean the village and teach others how important clean water is. You must also promise to never use dirty water again." Madame Rice wiped her tears. "I promise," she said. She knew she had a lot of work to do to make things right. The villagers felt relieved. They thanked the king and went back to their homes. Madame Rice started cleaning the village right away. She talked to everyone about the importance of clean water. Slowly, the villagers began to forgive her. Madame Rice learned her lesson. She used only clean water to cook from then on. The villagers watched her carefully, and she never broke her promise. Little Tom was happy to see that his village was safe again. He knew that sometimes even grown-ups need to learn the right way to do things. And so the village lived happily ever after, knowing the importance of clean food and water. Madame Rice worked hard every day. She scrubbed the streets, cleaned the fountains, and made sure everyone had clean water. She even started a small garden where she taught the children how to grow vegetables using clean water. The villagers began to see that she was truly sorry for what she had done. One day, the king called Madame Rice to the palace again. "You have done well," he said. "The village is cleaner and everyone is healthier. You have earned back some of the trust you lost." Madame Rice smiled, feeling a little better. "Thank you, Your Majesty," she said. "I will continue to do my best." The king nodded. "I have one more task for you," he said. "I want you to teach other villages about the importance of clean water and clean food. You can travel and share your story so that no one else makes the same mistake." Madame Rice agreed. She packed her things and started her journey to the nearby villages. Everywhere she went, she told her story. She showed people how to cook with clean water and why it was important. She became known as the Clean Water Lady, and people respected her for her honesty and hard work. Back in her home village, little Tom grew up and remembered the lesson he had learned. He always made sure his family had clean water and clean food. He taught his own children the same lesson, telling them the story of the wicked Madam Rice, who became the Clean Water Lady. Madam Rice's story spread far and wide. Villages everywhere started using clean water and people became healthier. The world became a better place because one little boy had the courage to speak up and one woman had the courage to change. And so Madam Rice continued her journey, helping people and making amends for her past mistakes. The villagers never forgot the lesson they had learned, and they all lived happily ever after, knowing the importance of clean food and water. Years passed, and Madam Rice became a well-known figure in the land. Her work had transformed many villages, and people admired her dedication. She had become a symbol of redemption and the power of change. One day, while traveling to a distant village, Madam Rice met a young girl named Lily. Lily reminded her of little Tom, with bright eyes full of curiosity. Lily approached Madam Rice and said, "I've heard your story. Can you teach me how to make clean water for my village?" Madam Rice smiled warmly. "Of course, Lily, I would be happy to teach you." Together, they went to Lily's village. It was a small place with a few houses and a central well. Madam Rice noticed that the well was not well maintained. She gathered the villagers and began teaching them how to clean the well and keep the water pure. Lily watched closely, learning everything she could. She helped Madam Rice organize the villagers and even started a small group to take care of the well regularly. The villagers were grateful and impressed by Lily's enthusiasm. As Madam Rice and Lily worked together, they formed a strong bond. Lily saw Madam Rice not just as a teacher, but as a mentor and a friend. One evening, as they sat by a fire, Lily asked, "Madam Rice, what made you decide to change your ways?" Madam Rice looked into the flames, thinking back to that fateful day when little Tom had seen her using dirty water. It was the courage of a small boy who cared about his village, she said. "He reminded me that we must always do what is right, even when it's hard. I realized I had to make things right, not just for myself, but for everyone I had wronged." Lily nodded, understanding the lesson. "I want to be brave like Tom," she said. "I want to help my village and make sure everyone is safe and healthy." Madam Rice placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. "You already are brave, Lily. You're making a big difference here. Keep learning, keep helping, and always remember the importance of clean water and clean food." With Madam Rice's guidance, Lily's village flourished. The well was always clean, and the villagers stayed healthy. Lily continued to lead her group, teaching others what she had learned. Madam Rice knew that her journey was far from over, but she felt a deep sense of satisfaction seeing the positive changes she had helped create. As she prepared to leave Lily's village, the villagers gathered to thank her. "You have given us more than just clean water," said the village elder. "You have given us hope and a better future." Madam Rice smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. "Thank you," she said. "Remember, the power to change is within all of us. Keep taking care of each other." With that, Madam Rice waved goodbye and continued her journey, knowing that she had left a lasting impact. She knew there were more villages to help, more people to teach, and more stories to share. And so, Madam Rice traveled on, spreading her message of clean water, clean food, and the power of change. The legend of the wicked Madam Rice, who became the Clean Water Lady, continued to inspire generations, teaching them the value of doing what is right and the importance of caring for their communities.